Hi, I'm Dr. Water. I'm a doctor, the kind who keeps working adults healthy, occupational, and preventive medicine. Usually I look after grown-ups who overwork. Today I'll lower my gaze a little. In a certain pretend family of a spy and an assassin, there's a small girl who can read people's minds. She's carrying a job clearly too big for a child's hands, keeping the family secret. If you're a fan, that plucky effort has squeezed your heart at least once. And then my occupational physician instinct kicked in. If this were a job, I'd absolutely call this one in for a check-in. So today, not the merits of the series but the body and mind of a child, checked against real medicine. The short version up front. Her struggle is wonderful as a story, and if you put the same load on a real kid I'd worry. About as predictable an answer as it gets. But the content of that worry is more concrete and more interesting than you'd think. I'm not here to judge the series. I'm here to ask, if a real child were put in the same position, how would it actually land on body and mind? And back every medical claim with a paper. And one more thing. Today I am not blaming any real parenting. This is a general explainer on child stress, using a fictional character as the doorway. If something here gives you a jolt of recognition, that's evidence you're a parent who cares, not a charge sheet. Put an adult-sized tension on a small child and what happens to the body. As a job, this is an instant check-in. First, I want to check the thing at the root of the series. This girl lives, behind her smile, carrying a daily adult-sized tension. If this gets out, the family is over. The work wraps it in the lightness of comedy, but the load itself is not light. In medical language, this sits near a concept called toxic stress. When a child is exposed to strong stress for a long time, and there isn't enough of a protecting adult to lean on, the load doesn't end as a passing tension. It can reach into how the brain develops and how the stress response system gets shaped. The key here is there support? The same tension, if there's a trusted adult nearby who helps hold what the child is carrying, can turn into a tolerable stress that can be gotten through. Flip it around. Anya's saving grace may be exactly those two clumsy but genuine adults trying to protect her. As a doctor, I'm a little glad the story is actually working. Takeaway: how heavy a load lands on a child depends not only on what happened, but on, was there an adult to lean on at the time? Less the amount of tension, more the presence of someone alongside. Why is being the good kid so tiring? The low-maintenance child is quietly wearing down. Next, something a touch more delicate. This girl reads the wishes of the adults around her better than most, and gamely tries to meet them. What fans find so endearing is exactly that gallantry. But through medical eyes, a small caution light comes on here. One concept is parentification, a child taking on a parent/adult role out of step with their age or developmental stage, holding up the family's emotions, keeping the mood of the room. It's a real research topic, and the interesting part is you can't flatly call it bad. There's a good side. Responsibility and empathy grow, and a bad side. It becomes a weight that wears down body and mind. And what decides which way it tips is how the child themselves takes it and the support around them. Imposed with no exit, or supported and felt as pride. Here again, someone alongside is what tells. The other issue is perfectionism. In particular, the type that feels others expect perfection of me, socially prescribed perfectionism, is linked with higher school anxiety in children. A child with "I must meet expectations" always switched on can be quietly wearing down inside precisely because they look low maintenance from outside. And I meet exactly this same shape all the time in the adult employees I see. Takeaway: the lower maintenance the good kid, the harder the inner wear is to see. The value of adding "you're not pushing too hard, are you?" to a child who seems fine is bigger than you'd guess. They're a kid who can do more. Let's take this expectation a little seriously. Just here, I'll stop the wit. In the series, the girl's effort to meet expectations is a lovable comedy. But carry that straight into real parenting and the story changes. This kid can do it. They can push harder. This well-meant expectation, if it stacks up on a child as chronic pressure, can become continuous with the long-term stress load from earlier and with changes in how the HPA axis, the stress hormone, cortisol, system, is regulated. Let me be clear, just in case. Asking a child to try hard is not itself the evil. Children are creatures who grow by taking on challenges. The danger is pressure with no exit, continuing for a long time without support. This distinction is exactly the same as adult workplace management. A moderate load is growth. An inescapable overload is depletion. The same line I draw at the company runs through the home too. And a request. If, watching your child's effort, they start to not sleep, not eat, say their stomach hurts, or go suddenly flat, and that continues, it may not be a matter of willpower but a signal from the body. In that case, don't carry it alone. Talk to your pediatrician or a specialist line. This isn't a lecture. It's an earnest, practical ask from a doctor who has done the same thing with adults many times over. Takeaway: asking a child to try hard isn't itself the evil. The danger is inescapable pressure continuing long without support. If not sleeping / not eating / stomach aches / sudden flatness persist, that may be a body signal, not a willpower gap. Don't hesitate to reach a professional line. I'll confess, I was once the good kid who meets expectations myself. I liked being praised for being low maintenance, so I bottled things up and couldn't say I was struggling. That's why, watching that girl's gallantry, I want to cheer her on and also, just a little, say don't overdo it. Less an occupational hazard than, probably, experience. Why is cutting sleep to keep trying the worst move? You're breaking the very tool you're trying with. Last, the most concrete and most usable point. When a child pushes at something, the first thing that tends to get cut is sleep. But for a growing child, that's the top candidate for must not cut. There's a real reason. Much of growth hormone is secreted during deep sleep, slow-wave sleep, and it's reported to release in connection with that first deep sleep right after falling asleep. And sleep doesn't only work on physical growth. Enough good quality sleep is tied to learning and emotional stability too. So staying up late to keep trying means going after growth, next day learning, and mood stability all at once, from the foundation up. You're breaking the tool you try with, for the sake of trying. In the adult world too, a way of working that cuts sleep is the first thing I move to stop. For a child, all the more. Given the tie between sleep and growth / learning / emotion above, go to bed an hour earlier beats try one more hour, in most situations. That's my felt sense from drawing this line in the field. Takeaway: a growing child's sleep is a foundation you must not sacrifice to effort. If something has to give, take it from elsewhere. Protect sleep first. Anya's struggle shines precisely because it's a story. Put the same weight on a real child unchanged and I'd call them in for a check-in. But she has two clumsy adults with her. So the story is probably fine. The one line to carry into real life. Instead of make them try harder, go with support them properly and let them sleep properly. More than measuring the amount of load, protecting the someone alongside and the sleep tends to work for children and for the working adult that is you. Manga is a doorway into the strangeness of the human mind and body. And a real child's body is far more gallant and far more deserving of protection than you'd think. See you at the next checkup. Thanks for watching. I'm Dr. Water. Subscribe for the next body check, and I'll see you at the next appointment.